regarding Sicily and that operation?
Well, I would say this though that for the comic thing of it, after the Sicilian campaign was over with, and anyhow, I had to go on a water detail, and we went down to Messina. And they talk about Patton being the first troop, or being in Messina. He didn't come in until quite a few days afterwards for the crowd and everything. But we were there, and they were shelling us from Italy. And anyhow, we had us pinned down behind a building, and one of our guys, which is naturally went out around scouting around and come into a blown out building, and down in the bottom of that was the bottom of a brewery. So anyhow, we had our water cans. We filled the water cans out of a great big spigot and put beer in them. Well, by the time we got back to the outfit, those cans, the beer was lighter than a pancake. Wasn't any good at all. So.
August 19th, 1943, Sicily. The wind is cool to your skin as the Jeep carries you down the road. Even the rumble of the deuce and a half trucks behind you and the convoy can't dampen the mood. Nickle Company has been off the line for several days now, barracked at a rubbled Italian air base. Your Jeep rounds the bend and approaches the sprawling grounds for the replacement depot. It is in this olive drab purgatory that soldiers wait for the Army's bureaucracy to catch up with them. Beneath canvas tarps lies numerous green crates, ammunition, rations, parts, impossible to tell. Broken and smashed Jeeps and trucks pack one end of the compound as mechanics salvage what they can keep from other vehicles. Botch that. On the open parade ground, 24 men march in full gear, sweltering under the Sicilian sun. Replacements came across the seas and in number. In this photograph, soldiers of the 32nd Infantry Division arrive in Australia. They give little historical tidbits to go along with these pictures, which is kind of cool. Incoming replacements report to a marked and illuminated area designated by commanding officer of the casual company or battalion. They were instructed where to leave their bags, Okay, we'll just continue. First Sergeant Grant brings the Jeep to a halt. Your truck rumbles up behind and do the same. Every platoon of yours is short of men as a result of its dead, wounded, sick, and missing. Those that remain are hardened veterans, but they aren't anywhere near enough of them. The replacement men are assembled for inspection by the depot officers. The formation is at least a neat one. Usual rigmarole to acquire replacements ensues. Row, long accustomed to it, proves invaluable, and so it is thankfully easier this time. With the Germans over across the strait, the demand for riflemen isn't critical. Paperwork is exchanged and a signature made. And it's time for more important things. Grant steps before the assembled soldiers. They look to him and his stripes as if he had been a sergeant since Christ was a corporal. First Sergeant should inspire this. The poor bastards will be veterans soon and listen. Alright. Men, you are now a part of the 7th Infantry Regiment, the Cotton Balers, First Sergeant Grant says in a powerful tone that drips with pride. In 1815, your illustrious predecessors earned that name by holding the line against an entire British army at New Orleans with nothing except muskets, bayonets, and bales of cotton. Weapons may have changed, but our job is the same. Hold the line, throw the enemy back, and send them running. You may be thinking you're green, and maybe you are, but you won't stay that way. We cotton balers stick together. The next time you hop off a truck, go to your sergeants and listen to them so that they'll figure out how not to get killed. We've all had some practice with that. All of us feel fear when the bullets start flying. Only idiots and the insane don't. But a coward hits the dirt and stays there. A soldier takes cover, takes orders, and holds the line. First Sergeant Grant gives them that confident stare he's been working on. Now then, load up. The new men scramble eagerly for the trucks. The return to camp is uneventful. No strafing planes, no snipers, not even a mortar attack. The civilians are friendly enough around here, too. After orientation and a few days of physical training, the men might even settle in for maneuver. You return to the company's billet. Some of the men drill on an open field bordered by wheat. Nearby, an army donkey watches from the shade, munching idly on hay. Hopefully that animal will be out of the way when Patton gives a speech to the cotton balers in a few days. In just a few stops, you are in your office. There's a mountain of paperwork awaiting, forms, letters, requests, and the occasional recommendation or citation. It is as if the Army wants you to keep on fighting something, anything, even if the enemy isn't around. Days pass, slowly, grudgingly. The replacements become cotton balers. Rao is as pitiless a platoon leader as he was a Repel Depot commander. He drives his men just as hard as he drives himself, which is certainly earning his platoon's respect, if not their love. Turney has chosen to apply the men to the range as well as maneuver. They grouse that is more for his benefit than theirs, and though they might be right, it still serves a purpose. Thompson organizes a movie night for the men after a particularly hard march. Casablanca, funny enough. You heard good things about it, though from the hooting you heard last night, the plot didn't seem to matter too much to the men of 1st Platoon. Stern's men chew up a lot of ammo on the improvised range. Thankfully, no one back at regiment seems to mind. There's Georgie. Then, on the appointed day, there comes the assembly on a vast parade ground. 16,000 men watch as a jeep flying the pennant of a 3-star general drives up. General Patton is here to publicly apologize for slapping 2 enlisted men at a field hospital, and the entire 3rd Division is required to attend. Still obeying Eisenhower's instructions, Patton notified all his division commanders of his intention to visit their organizations. Listen through the windows of my office. Combat fatigue -10. Skip the speech. Attend but stay back. You'll get a bump of 10 trust. Take my head at the place of my men. I will. Great clouds swirl overhead as General Patton, flanked by military police, steps to the podium without a glance sideways. Up close, his uniform is less impressive than in his photographs without a polished helmet or a gold braid. Only the twin ivory-handled revolvers at his hips suggest that he is the same flamboyant personality you've heard about. The men wait in rows, squad by squad, platoon, company, battalion, regiment, and finally divisions. 20,000 soldiers lending an expectant ear. Take seats, Patton orders as his high, squeaky voice resounds through the ranks. Men. The men call out a collective no at hearing any from their beloved general. I guess they didn't want him to apologize. Your men are no different. Crosley bellows thunder his approval for Patton. Roberts cheers. Even Morris and Patterson are swept up. Georgie, Georgie, they chant. Thompson boosts Stern up so that the footballer can better shout over the top of the assembled men. Patton makes a show of tossing away a sheet of paper, the opening of his speech. The men gradually subside from their exuberance. At last, Patton begins. In the Sicilian campaign, we lost some 1,500 of our comrades, killed in action. I do not grieve for their deaths because I thank God that such men have lived. But I do say to you all that it is our sacred duty to see that each of our dead comrades is escorted through the pearly gates by a very large number of enemy dead. The men eat it up. It is up to us now and hereafter to produce these escorts for our heroic slain. You know that I have never asked one of you to go where I feared to tread. I have been criticized for this, but there are many General Pattons, and there is only one 7th Army. I can be expended, but the 7th must and will be victorious. The men erupt in cheers again. For the second time in a week, you find yourself chest deep in freezing water as you wade across the Volturno, carbine held high in one hand and the guide rope in the other. The rest of your company follows behind, your way lit from time to time by the star shells bursting overhead. 1st and 2nd Battalions had to deal with tracers too. You saw them from the staging area, streams of green from German MGs and storms of red going the other way, trying to silence them. Those enemy machine guns are silent now, even if their artillery still barks defiance from beyond the horizon, their shells landing blindly among the swarms of crossing GIs. And these are soldiers of the 45th Division cross the Volturno River in south-central Italy. Suddenly, the river explodes in a massive churning column. A thunderclap slaps you off your feet and into the river. The Volturno floods into your mouth, your ears, your nostrils. Only your tight grip on the guide rope keeps you from being swept away. As you surface, shouts fill your ears. An inflatable raft that should be at the rear of your company drifts past and sinks steadily into deeper water with all of its precious cargo. Grab the bazooka. We saved a critical piece of gear from the Volturno. Your orders give your scattered men a sense of purpose. They swarm over the sinking dinghy, pluck up 2 bazooka tubes and the ammunition as well. The first rays of the sun creep up as your company makes its way to the far side of the river. Sodden and freezing, you take stock of what's left. The 30 cals, your 3 bazookas, and their ammunition. The rest is at the bottom of the Volturno, so we have machine guns, but we have no mortars. I think that the bazookas may come in a little more handy when it comes time to come up against armor. All right, so once again, into the post-production cutting here. I'm going to call the episode right here. We'll finish this battle up in the next one. Did run very long, as I've found that the Bird on Command battles tend to do. So we are going to take up a good position on the hill and make our stand there. Anyway, if you like the episode, hit the like button. If you have any thoughts, tips, or advice, leave those in the comments down below. If you want to follow along, hit the subscribe, and we'll see you for the next episode. J76NY saying thank you very much for watching, and have yourself a very good day.